Hello, everybody. I'm Aloe Blacc. I'm coming to you live from Los Angeles in my home. I'm in the office at my house with Right to the City Alliance. This is a national alliance of over 80 housing, racial, economic, and environmental justice organizations that are joining forces with a whole cast of socially engaged artists via Artist Entertainment, which is the organization, the group that I established with my wife and some friends here in Los Angeles to launch this cancel rent party, to get the word out that we are all in this together and we're fighting to cancel rent for this COVID crisis. There's so many people who are unable to pay their rent and moratoriums won't do enough. We need to cancel the rent. So with the coronavirus, millions of people are unemployed and will become unemployed, unable to make rent and mortgage payments, which is why under the Beyond Recovery Homes for All campaign, we're calling on politicians to cancel rent, cancel mortgages, and homes for all. For the renters, for homeowners, for small business people, and for people experiencing homelessness during the duration of this public health and economic upheaval. And lastly, to ensure a 3-month recovery period. So it's not just enough to cancel the rent during the crisis. We still need another 3 months, probably even more, just to get back on our feet. So if this speaks to you and you will not be able to make rent or mortgage at the first of the month, then fill out the survey. You can go to cancelrent.us to find where you can do this. And you can look in the description below or the chat box and sign on to the list of demands. We are demanding no new debts with the immediate cancellation of rent, mortgage, and utility payments. So it's not just the renters, we're talking about mortgage holders as well, because it's impossible to pay for your mortgage if you can't go to work. And it's gonna be impossible to pay that plus the back debt that's due because your employer's not gonna pay you anymore if the job even still exists, with so many companies and businesses going out of business. So Homes for All, which is a moratorium on evictions, foreclosures, and anti-homelessness ordinances, we're asking for homes for all. And we are looking for a moratorium on evictions, foreclosures, and anti-homeless ordinances. People must be able to stay in their homes. The unhoused must be housed. And to help me share this message today, I've invited 2 amazing artists. I consider them artivists because they are politically minded, socially minded. They have compassion in their heart for humanity. And they're both from the Bay Area. This is Gina Madrid and Equipto. And so we'll first hear from Gina Madrid, and I will introduce her and share with you a little bit about who she is. We'll see a video of her very recent release, and then we'll see her performance. Gina Madrid, formerly Raji, was born and raised in Guadalajara, Mexico. She brings her own distinct cross-cultural, multilingual, politically charged hip hop to the Bay Area music scene, captivating audiences with her passionate and aggressive performances. Gina Madrid left Mexico and moved to Oakland, California in 1999, where she learned English by translating hip hop lyrics from Tupac, the Fugees, and KRS-One. Now, I imagine that is true. I just wonder if her first words were all hip hop slang words. And Gina Madrid developed an engaging, insightful, social conscious flow that challenges our musical and gender preconceptions of hip hop culture. She has just released a new song called Dame la Mano. And after we watch the video, we will see a performance from Gina Madrid.
Seguimos de aquí, no nos vamos. Ven y dame la mano. El El ritmo está bacano. Latinos y africanos unidos, seguimos de aquí, no nos vamos. El sol aquí, brille me da fuerza constante que me hace volar. Yo vine aquí, vine a ganar. México a Oakland, sangre indígena. El sol aquí, brille me da fuerza constante que me hace volar. Yo vine aquí, vine a ganar. México a Oakland, sangre indígena. Sangre indígena. Sangre indígena. Sangre indígena. México a Oakland. Sangre indígena. México a Oakland. Aunque que intentes pisarme, trates de bloquearme, no podrás pararme, no. Alma de acero, mis sueños primero y no trates tú de robármelos. Marcando huellas y pasos voy, tirando muros aquí estoy. En camino a las estrellas yo miro hacia arriba, siento la energía de vos. Es la energía de Dios aquí, está dentro de mí. Me hace sonreír, miedo a destruir. Sigo en el intento de sobrevivir. En las calles vivo, lucho por sobresalir. Sobresalir, sobresalir. Ven y dame la mano, el ritmo está bacano. Latinos y africanos unidos, seguimos de aquí, no nos vamos. Ven y dame la mano, el ritmo está bacano. Latinos y africanos unidos, seguimos de aquí, no nos vamos. De aquí no nos vamos, de aquí, de aquí, de aquí no nos vamos, no. De aquí, de aquí, de aquí no nos vamos, no. De aquí, aquí seguimos y no nos rendimos. Latinos y africanos siempre unidos. Aquí seguimos y no nos rendimos. Latinos y africanos siempre unidos.
All right, that was wonderful. That was Gina Madrid, new single, Dame la Mano. And now we will see and hear from Gina Madrid herself. Samir, can we unmute Gina, please? Yeah.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah.
Yay! Thank you for having me. I'm actually very excited about this opportunity, first of all, because I'm here with you right now, Aloe Blacc, and I have so much respect for you and the fact that you're creating a platform for us artists to express the struggle that we're all going through together. I'm just very happy to be here, and I'm happy to be sharing some music with you guys.
Thank you. Well, we're looking forward to hearing your music. So please share a few songs and then we'll come back and have a nice conversation.
All right. So the first song I'm sharing, it's called Vamos. And the story behind about the songs that I'm sharing right now, they are not released yet. They're actually coming up in my upcoming album. And they were all recorded with my band. And I actually got a grant from Women's Side of Mission to record, mix, and master my record. And that's what I'm getting ready to do. So these songs that you're gonna hear are coming up on my upcoming album. This song is called Vamos. I have Kenny Anis, my bandmate, partner in crime over here. Let's do it.
Hacia la libertad, hacia la libertad. Todos vamos, vamos a acelerar. Vamos a acelerar hacia la libertad. Hacia la libertad, todos vamos, vamos a acelerar. Hay una puerta y una más allá. Me acerco en cada una de ellas quiero entrar. La luz de la ciudad que me ve caminar. Desde el principio corro, intento a la cima llegar. Exploro toda posibilidad del día. Entrego siempre el 100% de mi vida. Espero no caer yo nunca en la agonía. Intento no parar. Un día al cielo tocar. Ver la oportunidad. Y en una puerta entrar. Vamos a acelerar hacia la libertad. Hacia la libertad todos vamos, vamos a acelerar. Vamos a acelerar hacia la libertad. Hacia la libertad todos vamos, vamos a acelerar. Tomaré lo que dame obsequio y seguiré. Más allá de un sueño viajaré. Bajo un sol intenso yo despertaré. Sentiré todo pensamiento a quien entregaré. Te daré, sintiendo el calor de todas situaciones. Combinando el tiempo, fuego y emociones. Creando día y noche, cazando explosiones. Una nube crece marcando expresiones. De manera única. De manera única. De manera única, uniendo fuerza magnética, abriéndome en un ritmo, perderme en este planeta, captando lo que viene, captando lo que llega a explorar mi alma, quiere envolverse en este mar. ¡Vamos! Hacia la libertad, hacia la libertad, todos vamos, vamos a acelerar, vamos a acelerar, hacia la libertad, todos vamos, vamos a acelerar, vamos, 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 vamos todos, hacia la libertad. Hacia la libertad.
Yeah, that was Vamos. Actually, the singer who is joining me on this track is Kata from Locura. Ooh, give me 1 second. This one's starting already. This is kind of interesting to me because it's just interesting that I don't have a crowd. I don't have that energy, but just knowing that you're there, you're watching, it makes me feel really good, just the fact that I'm here playing music for you guys. Let's do Voy. So this next song, we're gonna do an acoustic song. It's also coming out of my next album. And it just talk about, for those who don't speak English, it talks about not giving up. I mean, for those who don't speak Spanish, it talks about not giving up. Never stop following your dreams, no matter what comes along the way. This song is called Boy.
Siempre con la esperanza de vida, vamos siempre con la mirada hacia arriba, Vamos siempre siguiendo aquellos sueños que han mantenido el alma intacta en el fuego. Así yo voy, yo sigo en el camino, con luz o no, con rumbo a mi destino. Recibo lo que viene y llegue aquí. Yo doy todo de mí, yo doy todo de mí. Así. It's faith and love, what keeps us moving on. It's faith and love, what keeps us moving on. What keeps us moving on. What keeps us moving on. Desde el empiezo de esta vida confieso, la vida sigue y esperando el progreso. Es vida la que incita a diario el suceso. Es fuerza la que incita a diario el progreso. Así yo voy, y vivo en el camino, con luz o no, con rumbo a mi destino, queriéndolo aquí. Yo doy todo de mí, yo doy todo de mí, así. Intentes besarme y el mundo lo sienta pesar. El alma simplemente expande, mucho más ganas yo de subir. El sol me despierta de una luz incierta, se me abre la puerta en medio del desierto. La luz me ilumina, mi mente derriba toda la energía que no es que si yo consciente en mi mente, corazón presente, no pararé hasta que no llegue. Yo no pararé hasta que no llegue. Yo no pararé hasta que no llegue. It's faith and love, what keeps us moving on. It's faith and love, what keeps us moving on. What keeps us moving on. What keeps us moving on. Así yo voy, yo sigo en el camino, con luz o no, con rumbo a mi destino. Recibo lo que viene y llegue aquí. Yo doy todo de mí, yo doy todo de mí, así.
Yay! Cancel rent now, yo. No money, no rent. Man, I'm so happy to be here sharing some music. There's some buzzing. I don't know what's causing feedback over here.
You got to turn down the highs a little bit.
Turn down the highs. Okay, let me just fix. Turn down the highs. I hope you guys are able to hear it well out there. So I'm just gonna keep it moving. This next song is called Riding Alone. And Riding Alone is actually very special to me. I actually wrote this song with Steve Knight from Flipside. And we actually did this like about 7 years ago. And right when I was gonna get in the studio to record my record, I was like, that song needs to be on the record. So I hit him up. He wasn't even in town. We were in a tight deadline to finish the album. And he managed to record it, send me the files. The files didn't work. So my record got pushed back. He came back in town and he's like, yo, you still need that, that hook. I was like, hell yeah, come to my house, let's record this. So we recorded this in my house. And this song is called Riding Along. If you guys are not familiar with Flipside, they are Bay Area legends, represent Oakland. You should check them out. And Candice Antique is also on this track, doing backup vocals.
Quiero dejar todo lo que más pueda sin regresar. Es la ciudad, mi sombra y la soledad. De día, noche, frialdad, desprende, llega y se va. Despegando pasos sin destino alguno, sigo hacia adelante, pido más de lo que digo. En el silencio inclino, entre sueños vivo, no hay descanso, no. Mente corre a 1000 por hora contemplándolo. Que el destino desmorone en el camino doy. En cada suspiro todo lo que soy. No hay descanso, no. No hay descanso, no. Riding alone in this town, riding alone in this city, feeling the beat and the sound, just let it fade away. Riding alone in this town, riding alone in this city, feeling the beat and the sound, yeah, just let it fade away. Despertando en el invierno, bajo lluvia desde el interior, corre sangre entre un incendio, respirando en un congelador. Quiero entrar, contemplar y hacer que la luz del sol caiga y más, que el brillo del amanecer, creando así un nuevo respirar. Aquí en el viento volará todo el tiempo de tenerlo en el centro. Toma en cuenta el momento, la ciudad es testigo de todo lo que yo intento. Esa presencia de arriba elevándome hacia algo incierto. Aquí yo espero lo que viene y yo sigo y recibo lo que llegue y yo sigo con prisa corriendo bajo la brisa. Yo sé que no hay descanso, no. Yo sé que no hay descanso, no.
'Cause this is shelter in place. In place.
Yes, yes. Gina Madrid, Gina Madrid in the house. Thank you. That was awesome. So I have so many questions about your music, but I wanted to first ask you about that part in your bio where you talk about learning English from rap songs. So that was like one of your first experiences with the English language, I guess, with the music.
It was. I was here when I was about 13 years old, and I actually went to middle school, but I came here, I didn't know any English. Then I moved back to Mexico. I came back again when I was 15 years old. I was pregnant with my son, who is gonna be 21 this year. And I didn't really have the opportunity to go back to school because I had to focus in my family. And you gotta learn the language. I mean, you're in a different country. You gotta look for a job. And so what I did, me and my ex-partner, we started just pulling out lyrics because we, so in love with hip hop. I used to listen back in the days to Public Enemy, you name it, man. I can't even put it up. Ice-T, KRS-One, Rakim, and I didn't understand the language, but there was something about their performance and the way they were expressing themselves that just I resonated to what they were saying, and not necessarily to what they were saying, but the feeling of it. I knew that it was a street feeling coming out of their performance. And when I moved here, I literally just started printing out lyrics, and line to line, I learned so much slang because
You printed out lyrics, and that helped you.
let's say Tupac. I translated a lot of Tupac. I translated Eazy-E, and I found out how dirty he was. I translated Public Enemy, some of the, Fight the Power, KRS-One. And it was just like a very interesting experience to me to learn English that way because I was really learning it from the hood. That's what was special to me. I feel like, man, I can't really get more real than this. So it actually, it was the main thing. And obviously, you start grabbing books, you start, like doing other things to be better, at the language. But that's how I started, and I'm kind of proud of it because I'm hip hop. And
That's good. Yeah, you're hip hop, but you're also, an activist, right? The lyrics are not just empty lyrics. They're about something and about getting being part of the movement and getting change to happen. And so that's why we're here for the cancel rent movement. We have in the cancel rent movement some demands for Beyond Recovery. We want a future free from debt. We want a future with safe and dignified and cage-free shelter and sanctuary and homes for all. We want a future where utilities that are vital to our personal and collective health are guaranteed. I want to know from you, like, how has the crisis affected you personally, and what's your status? Are you a renter? Is it making an issue for you?
oh yeah, I mean, I guess for all of us, but it's actually affected me big time because besides being an artist, I work in the music industry. So I do booking, I do production, I do produce events, do graphic designs for music venues, promotion and all that. So all the clubs were shut down, and my main source of income was for a club and artists, making graphic design, but all that it's done. So I don't really have any source of income right now, to be honest. I applied for several grants, artist grants, and some other grants that I applied for too, but I haven't really received anything. I guess, there's so many people applying right now that it's very, very hard to get a grant. And the good thing is, I have great friends, and I'm grateful to have great people in my life that reach out to me and, do you need anything here? I'm gonna help you with this. I live with amazing roommates that support me too, and really just trying to stay positive. I'm looking for work, of course, and hopefully once we get out of this, everything gets better, but it's gonna be a while in the meantime. Yes, I think I'm struggling just like many other people are struggling. And I feel like this event, it's really to emphasize that struggle and to try to make that happen, to cancel rent for all of us who can't really afford it and don't get evicted, you know?
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you could join us to be part of this and be part of the fight. We are all really happy that you could join us, and we appreciate your voice, being part of the movement. We wish you the best. Hope that that things turn around for you, and I hope that we can actually get to a place where we're actually getting our legislators, governors, our local councils to enact this movement of canceling rent, to make it into local laws and state laws that
Yeah.
will relieve so many people.
Like housing is a human right. This is not just an issue that we're dealing or facing right now. Like, there's the homelessness crisis is crazy here in the Bay Area and all over the country and really all over the world. And the fact that there's so many rich people and so many corporations and, there's all this money being spent from the government, and the poor, we're still, we're all still struggling. Why can that, a little bit of that can be, given to the poor, given to the most needed, given to the more vulnerable people. I feel like this is a wake-up call for all of us, because any of us can be evicted. Any of us can be living in the streets right now. If nothing comes out of this, I'm sure that's going to be the case, because if the rent doesn't get canceled, a lot of us can go through that situation, and that's when we actually, facing reality of all these people that are living in the streets that don't deserve that,
I totally agree. It is a human right. Housing is a human right. Thank you again, Gina. If you stick around with us, maybe we'll get a chance to talk again after we hear from Equipto. Everybody, Gina Madrid, thank you. Now, Equipto first broke into the musical scene in the golden era of hip hop and is a Frisco legend. For the last few years, he's been helping younger artists develop their craft while throwing shows combining national and local acts in the underground tradition. Equipto speaks out against the oppression with an optimism that makes a new world seem very possible and much more than a dream. So I would like to introduce to you all Equipto.
Peace, peace. Can y'all hear me out there? Cool. Right on for having me. Aloe Blacc, Gina Madrid, my comrade, my sister, all the folks, Samir, that's a part of this. It's an honor. Definitely, I want to, give a shout out Beyond Recovery and all the organizations that are behind this, and how much urgency there is behind this situation. So I'll be talking, rapping, and doing all that, just having fun, trying to vibe with y'all, basically, because I feel it's a serious situation, but it's also a festival, you know what I mean? So I'm a hip hop artist or whatnot. So I'm gonna spit something just real quick, just to try to test on some acapella, dedicated to a few folks, just a couple bars. When you're living in Frisco and lied to by all these city officials, sometimes I wonder what it's gonna take for you to fight. Just remember that housing is a human right. Show respect for community, knowing we all just a check away from losing it. Checking out the blueprint with faith and hope of the work. Like the young lords taking over a church, it's all blasphemy. This ain't the way that it has to be. Every shelter is filled to capacity. See the bankers, the shysters and creditors, open the door for the corporate developers. It left emptiness, feeling like I'm lovesick. My friends homeless and homies I grew up with, alone in the mind with no contact or family. Scared of reality. The human being's not a faculty. Let that sink in. Fall on some hard times. Maybe you think twice. What would it be like in their shoes? How y'all doing, man? How y'all doing out there? I hope everybody feeling good. Let's get this going like this. We're gonna get this music cracking.
Evidence, oh, evidence,
We'll rock some mixtape stuff, man, you know what I mean? Rock some beats, some homies, and just some things online and kick some raps, you know what I mean? The type of thing I want to do. Hotel rooms, not hospital beds, you know what I mean? politics and raps. It all started with a tall can of old English and bum rushing the show when that's for no reason. That you seeing is beyond any hoopla or lies that you buy. Crying like Flex cause he jealous of Tupac scapegoating. And you can hide it but the Bay know it. It's never no more like soul from this day forward. It's a trip to see how sensitive the East gets. When we was the one fighting for the respect. G-Tech speaking through the beat machine and told me look out for those that believed in me and still do. Eagerly I approach. Writing notes around the fire as I'm lighting the ropes. Inspire folks, get closer, focusing in and let it go. Just know that there's so much more you never know. Stay open and think of those before us. Before you start comparing the official with the bogus, there's no chorus. Yeah. Shout out Do No Harm Coalition. You know, shout out Poor Magazine. All my folks out there on the front line really living that struggle. You know what I mean? That's how it's going down. You know what I mean? Gonna kick this verse. Let's go to another one. Let's try this one. Yeah. In high definition, relay with the city means going through the ghost town. I'm roaming like a gypsy king. A deeper purpose with every step taken. And every step taken, the more people awaken across the cold clouds. Kids growing up faster. And during the rainstorm, there's a rainbow after. It's convincing. Once you get to witness what you own to, the outcome depends on whatever you made hold true to the soul. There ain't no compromise. Follow your heart for the truth. There's a common bond speaking prosperity. Before they get to bury me, turn to ash and let it burn in solidarity. Others in the same fight, Dia de los Muertos, no gravesite. Death is all promise, so naturally embrace life. No assumptions, just roll with the punches. For my everyday people trying to function in this fuck shit. Yeah, 1, 2. How y'all feeling out there? Yes. Bail out the people, not the corporations. You know what I'm saying? We out here living this life. Keep it moving. We're gonna rock with some Lord Finesse. Lord Finesse instrumental, you know what I mean? Run through some verses, Queasy Gang. Shout out all my folks tuning in on all the social medias. Call your local supervisor, your mayor, tell them to bail out the people, not the corporation, you know what I mean? They say you can tell by all the movement of the birds if you're concerned on what happens to Earth, but when it turns and shift, it'll throw you off your gravity. Last goodbye until your family. That says about acceptance, what you can accomplish on your timeline. Reading the vibe, keeping on waiting for the right sign. They say the train coming, still trying to make something happen. Though our days numbered, we gon' fight it and stay humble. Through the eyes of a historian, a catalog, leaving endology, put my story in the time capsule. Footprints turn to artifacts, blueprints, to let them know I was a part of that true shit. Went through it like any group should. Just going bad, trying to do good, steady, feeling fine. Regardless of the losses you added up. Really no choice but to take it in as it comes and goes. Yeah, party people in the house. Yeah. When I say cancel, y'all say rent. Cancel. When I say cancel, y'all say rent. Cancel. Yeah. Abolish all that, man. It's for the people, you know what I mean? People that hand to watch your back. Would you feel like any less of a man without a strap to protect your fam and know the consequences squeezing it? Respect the fact that there's still room for reasoning. I seen it coming when it was fine and dandy to try to reel you in. Fake friends try and trap me with everything apparently blatant when it used to be sacred. Got embarrassing though. We're friends supposed to be faithful. When the agents come knocking, everything's out the window. There ain't no telling who be coughing up the info. Keep it top secret, the baby. Just keep it simple. When it all falls down and crashes like a cymbal, just give me a sign or a signal to recognize. When on the stand, can testify against me or let it slide. Show me you down to the last tick. Lights out, hash lit, and that's it. Party people, yeah. Come on, everybody in the house. When I say cancel, y'all say rent. Cancel. Yeah, come on. When I say cancel, y'all say drink. Nobody is disposable, y'all. It's important during these times we respect everybody's organizations that are putting out work out there, man. Out here in San Francisco, we're going through it with our mayor, London Breed. I know she's doing work as well. Everybody's doing work and doing what they can, but there needs to be more work done and a lot more pressure put on these politicians, folks in power. As well, We need to support our community, that our first responders that are out there, not relying on any of this government, you know, these resources that they're supplying and to have us waiting for. So we have to react as a community, y'all. I hope everybody's feeling good. Just mobbing out for a minute. About to do this song real quick. This one right here is called God Loves. Did this back about the Oscar Grant situation or crisis went down. The issue with Oscar Grant, police brutality, police abuse, police accountability. Y'all hear me out there? Yes. So this one's called God Love. And I learned that people depict us as agitators and angry when really we're just fighting for what we love, right? They see us for fighting, but really it's for what we love. It's our community and our people. So check it out. This one is called, y'all, I got love for all those that feel my struggle. When you're hot but got no choice, man, you still gonna hustle. To anybody that's blind and really can't see, just to stay driven and trying to live the same dream. They say it's all political. Besides that, we all got issues. Capture your physical, but don't let this cold world get you. We ain't taking shit no more. We gonna evict that landlord. Time to organize and showing them what we stand for. F the chief, though we all for peace. The beast still lives. Looking at the Guard police. To all my homies trying to live, but it's hard to smile. To the parents that's alone cause they lost their child. I'ma keep you on my mind. Doing more than trying. But I think about the children that's dying in Palestine. Rest in peace to the brother. My heart goes to the mother and any other victim that don't deserve to suffer. I got love for those that sacrifice themselves for a bigger cause because they know that life is hell. I got love for the hustlers that's far from home, trying to get their thing cracking all across the globe. I got love for all of those in the same shoes. Anybody recognizing you must pay dues. I got love for those set back from the beginning and they never got a taste of this better living. I got love. Yeah. You got love in your heart, y'all.
San Francisco.
We're gonna do this one right here.
Home to the Golden Gate Bridge.
My little last one, pretty much song-wise.
And the cable car.
This for San Francisco right here. And all my folks that's been displaced from this and all those prior, all shout out to Aloni and all folks that been here before. You know what I mean? Where I'm from, Disco. Got my name from the mission to the mode. Shit, I rep the whole city though, entirely. Every perfect Frisco inspires me. From the Black Hole Swamp and HP, Army Street, Fiji's and H Street, to the Hill, Lakeview and the Avenue. Something about that San Fran attitude I got love for, it's unconditional. We need a unified free Mac minister. Step up in this up and show the industry that we hip to they bullshit trickery, man. We made history before at the Players Club. 11 bottles so everybody lie your fingers up. And cool nothing to me change the rap game. They all respect the way San Fran came. Everybody diss the West to the day that I pass. I'm a rep SF. That's what we do. Hey, yeah, it's the 4-1-C. Born and raised in that SFC. That's how we do. You know what? We can take it back like the Willie Mays catches, the Fun Center, the St. Francis, Fisherman's Wharf, where you can see break dancers walking through the Tenderloin. You take chances, man. They say it's coming. You feel the big earthquake, but it's gonna take more to leave my birthplace. They convince y'all to all take cover. I'm screaming out, bitch, my city like hey Dubba. Man, these other cities couldn't match the scope. Back when JT dropped dang the dope, but you know, out here, don't no one got the same flow, though we still stand together like the rainbow. Best crab in the nation, hands down. I've been eating Hondas just right up in Japantown. And never forget what my fam been through. Cause like I said, when the hustle continues, everybody diss the West to the day that I pass. I'm a rep SF. That's what we do. Heart and soul of Frisco City. Hey, the area codes the 4-1-C. Born and raised in that SFC. That's how we do. Let me tell y'all something. I learned poetry from 2D MC, and RBL taught me about Bammer Weed. Respect due to all the OGs, producers that can pave the way like TC. See, learn a thing or two when you run board stiff, make you feel right at home if you a tourist. Shit, hit Broadway and you can see the rippers. It's so gang from a Mr. Predictor, pushing a swisher, yeah, the streets talking, keep popping to the day they free Akron. Remember Japantown, Bow and Copeland's, Hartfoots, and Doggy Down up by the ocean, driving, Vito on Geneva was a car show, another hit before Amoeba was Park Bow. I stay repping all across the globe for show and bring it right back home to the scope. So everybody, this the West to the day that I pass. I'm a rep SF. That's what we do. Heart and soul of Frisco City. Hey, area close to 4-1B. Born and raised in that SFC. That's what we do. Heart and soul of Frisco City. San Francisco, stand up. Bay Area, stand up. Mike Easy, what's up? Frisco forever.
Right on, right on, right on.
Man, right on. Thank you, thank you.
Man, thank you so much for sharing your voice, your message. And also, you're not just out there as an artist, you're in the streets, part of movements as well. And I can tell because you talk about it in your lyrics, like being out in the marches, in the rallies, making that change happen. Talk about your upbringing a little bit. How are you, how'd you get involved in movements in Frisco? I think you're part of, a legacy, right?
Yeah, definitely. My family, my mother is from Colombia, right here. So she came here in '64 in the early '60s. My father's from Sacramento. He's Japanese, and he was born in '44 in the era of the internment camps. He was born in the camp in Camp Amachi over in Colorado. So they met in San Francisco on some revolutionary love type of agenda. And so my real name is Ilyich, which was named after Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, one of the first worker revolutionaries. So basically I come from that. A lot of that I grew up in meetings and organizations, growing up as a baby, a child, and that growing up seeing that in marches, rallies, protests, demonstrations, all of the above. And I didn't necessarily, delve into it like totally, right? I kind of went my own path and had to learn for myself a lot through life experiences, ups and downs, this and that. But always, it just took some time in life, I think, for me, for it to awaken and kind of, reactivate in my head and learn how I could really apply myself for a community I love so much. So I claimed I loved it so much in my music, and I was always like Frisco, but it took me a while to really understand what community is really about. Instead of just singing about it, I wanted to swing about it, like I wanted to learn how I could really be effective,
Yeah, I see that. And it's a pretty unique combination, an interesting story. But then again, it's California, it's Frisco, and so the love is open, and people aren't on that. Basically, it's just more cosmopolitan and integration. You know what I'm saying? Like
more diverse, not so much discrimination. It was just, there was more, I guess, hubs and circles that you could belong. There was a lot of Marxism around that time. A lot of socialism was going around, and a lot of groups, right around the civil rights era and things like that. So I think, you know, a lot of that, and this is the Bay Area is one of the hubs for that, if not one of the you know, most prominent spots as far as, you know, going back to the Panthers and certain things that were happening in the Bay Area.
Yeah. How is the current crisis affecting you?
As an artist, I mean, I always say, you know, things could be a lot worse, you know, and I'm blessed to be in my personal situation. And that's honestly, that's how I can be available. That's how I can go to protests. I can do certain things because I you know, I am an artist. I'm kind of, you know, I'm a hustler. I'm a grinder. And I don't necessarily have a, you know, a family like that as far as, you know, child and things like I don't have to attend to certain responsibilities that some of my peers and my folks that have to do because they can't hit the front lines because they're like, hey, I got to change the diapers, bro. You know, like, so I look at it kind of like I have a luxury, I have a responsibility that I have to use for that. You know what I mean? So it's like out here as an artist, you know, I might suffer because of the nightlife. I might suffer because there's no shows or whatnot, you know, studios, certain things are not to my accessibility. But in reality, that's all to me, like I've learned through time. I knew this day would be coming. So I was like, I knew all this stuff was a luxury. You know, I always felt blessed to partake in the culture, period. You know, I always felt blessed that, you know, not, I can't say always, there was a time, you know, of course I was young and rambunctious and always, you know, I felt I deserved the microphone and things. And it took time for me to understand, like, you know, like I'm partaking, you know what I mean, in Black culture, you know, at that, and I have to play my part and, you know, make sure it's respectful. And at the same time, you know, get what I deserve, you know what I mean? Like get what I earn in the field of what I'm working hard in, you know what I mean? So it's always, to me, it's like being affected. My friends are really affected. They've been in the last two to 3 years. Some of my folks have been evicted out of their house, long time residents, you know what I mean, that's been here. They've been evicted. Folks, I know friends that I grew up with are on the block, on the streets, trying to find a way out. Some aren't trying to find a way out. Some are just, you know, so, you know, involved and capacitated with that life on the streets. They don't feel there's no other way to turn. You know, the opportunities, the alternatives, they don't see them, you know, so, yeah.
Wow. Gina's still with us, and I want to try to open the conversation up so we can just have, you know, kind of a discussion around artistry, where and how, as artists, we can get this message out to our fans, to be part of the movement. We all have a following, and I know it. To me, it seems really it's complicated. Is disingenuous to expect our fans to be there to support us financially when they barely can even support themselves, if they're not able to go out and get the work that they were supposed to be getting. And not only that, as artists, our peers are also suffering. So for you guys joining me to spread this message and let our peers and our fans know to go to cancelrent.us, sign on to the demands, holler, make some noise at your local council person, the person that is representing your specific area. Blow up their phone line, blow up their emails and their social media, and tell them we need legislation to cancel rent like yesterday. We need it immediately. But yeah, Gina, I would like to ask you, you know, what are some of the kind of movements that you've been part of since you've been living in the Bay, around like some of the activations?
Wow. That's a lot to even think about. Somehow I always end up on the streets.
Yeah, right.
It's like, good.
Yelling at somebody.
You know what I mean. You know what I think the biggest impact that I feel in my life within organizing and activism, it was when the Frisco Five went on hunger strike, demanding for the chief of police to get fired because of all the police brutality that was happening and cops not being you know, they were just not doing anything about it. So the Frisco Fry went on hunger strike, and that was Equipto, his mom, and three other Frisco people. And I was just very touched by the fact that they were willing to die. They were willing to give their lives for justice. So I got involved in everything that was, you know, they were doing. And I said involved because I felt really, you know, I felt that really at heart, where I would just like come and talk to Equipto's mom and offer help, like trying to see whatever I can do to spread the word, you know, organize a rally, get involved, get into City Hall, go and knock in the mayor's office, just really activate people. That was one of, I feel like that really changed my life. I gotta say it, I told Equipto this many times, like it really changed my life in a way that it made me appreciate life from a different perspective. It made me appreciate my community and the power of the people and what it really takes to make something happen, that nothing is a given because it's capitalism and we live under a government that it's always stepping on the poor and the people who don't have any resources, and black and brown people are always being attacked. So I feel like that impacted me in a way that nothing else had ever impacted me in my life. I have been involved with, I get down a lot with Kat Brooks, who is a part of the anti-police terror, who is behind a lot of police brutality cases and, you know, like the things that are happening here in the Bay Area. And she's also very active, you know, all around the country, I will say, because she's also a speaker. So I get involved every time that she's doing something. I try to be a part of it. I do not have my own organization. I actually feel like I feel more, I feel better with myself just jumping to the things that are happening. And I feel like that's something that I would recommend to anybody that's, you know, that's not even if they're not living what the people are struggling, you know, but like really just be involved, like be involved in the things that are happening, and you will see that change will come, because if it's not for the people, nothing, it's a given, you know. Yeah, activism, it's I think it's very connected with my music. I speak activism through my music. I speak about the issues that we go through my music, and I try to stay very connected to the streets and the struggle and the people, and just really, just as an artist, just try to spread a message of also not just negativity, but also to try to stay optimistic and positive, that we are the change and we are able to make a change. Just like right now, what we're doing, it's very important, you know, because if we don't activate, if we don't organize, like you say, go and sign the petition, go and follow the steps, go and you know, and see what you can do, how you can get involved in your own city. We're not even talking about country-wise. Like, just do something that is actually going to benefit. And even if you don't need this benefit, if you're rich, you can still go and try to help the other people who are actually in need, you know? So
Yeah. All allies are welcome and everybody's affected. I mean, it really does affect everybody. You know, when the Cancel Rent movement approached Art of Entertainment to help with doing this festival, the Cancel Rent Festival, we thought of, I thought about how it's more than just the folks on the street who are protesting, who are renters. It's then, if they're protesting, it's their landlords. And the landlords are also going to be struggling because the money's not coming from anywhere. And if the landlords are struggling, then they should be receiving also some sort of relief, so that we pass the real burden of this onto the banks, who are supposed to be receiving the relief money. I had a conversation today with two really powerful organizers here in Los Angeles, and the complexities are huge in order to really make these kinds of changes. But it's our duty to stand up and start chanting down Babylon and making the noise, and then to organize strategically and to get them to add into their relief packages renters and mortgage owners, because right now the relief package that went to the banks is earmarked for businesses, is earmarked for jobs, which is cool, but you got to recognize, what does that really mean? Okay, if we're not allowed to go to work right now, then how are we supposed to pay rent right now? So why don't you give the money to the people and allow that to be their income if you're going to be giving income money for jobs anyway. And so it's just, it's a really complex system. Equipto, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I like how Gina said, like, you know, sometimes you just got to spring into action, and you have to be, I call it like the free agent, a free agent. You know, sometimes you getting involved in politics and certain organizations can get sticky, right? You know, we learn the hard way. We want to be all and happy-go-lucky sometimes, and it's not. It takes hard work, you know. But I also want to say, like you were saying earlier, about finding ways to get our fan base and certain people, folks that may be listening here and there involved, right? It's fine. It's just like kind of like how the Panthers made it cool, right? I think there's ways that we have to make it somewhat cool to be educated and to learn. And there's all type of ways to do it and to organize, right? I think it doesn't necessarily have to be so traditional. I think even like you hear Angela Davis sometimes talks, and she's like, hey, don't necessarily listen to me. Like, you know, try something new. Like we were trying something new when we were coming about. And I think that's what people don't see. They just see the protests. Like when I was younger too, even my mom, I'd be at the meetings, but I still didn't understand fully how much commitment and dedication it took just to organize a rally, you know, and see who, you know, instead of just showing up and grabbing the mega horn, you know, and just like, and not understand there's actually an agenda. There's actually, you know, it took time to take over. These people are going to take over this street. There's certain things. And I think that's dope. When you learn organizing, there's certain ways you could go about it. It doesn't have to be traditional. You could try new ways, and as long as it's respectful and there's a code of ethics to it, you know what I mean? But I think that's how we can get certain people involved that are necessarily involved. Because sometimes I do get frustrated with that. It's like, man, you know, I'm texting other rappers I know, and I'm like, man, what's up? You know, we got to get together and do this, and you know. But I understand everyone moves at their own clock, and sometimes, you know, what's not a priority to someone else they're not going to be as urgent as we are. You know what I mean? But yeah, organizing, I think, is the key in finding new ways to do that.
Absolutely. Gina, Madrid, Equipto, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Cancel Rent Festival, and want to remind everybody that Beyond Recovery, Homes for All demands to ensure healthy, stable, thriving communities and a future for us all, with an easeful future free from debt, which includes canceled rent, canceled mortgage, canceled utility payments, and a guarantee of safe, healthy homes for all people now. If you're not going to be able to make rent on the 1st, then you should fill out the survey, get connected with a national solution, and sign on to the demands. We need to make noise to your city council members, your local legislators, the governor. In the meantime, keep dancing your hardships away with us. Every couple of weeks, we'll be back here on June 5th to do this again, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Central time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Stay updated and subscribe and Right to the City Alliance on all social media platforms. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you, Gina and Equipto. Appreciate you. Nobody is disposable.